why are problems coming to us again and again and again? And if there's only a way, a secret to help us overcome it, what secret would that be? Hey everyone, welcome back to Coaching Changes Lives. So glad you can join us this week. Now today we're going to talk about the what and how of problems and how we can turn every single problem that we face the right side up. Now too often when we face problems and challenges in life, sometimes one of the key challenges is that how do we actually face them? Do we face them? How do we turn them around? Because why are problems coming to us again and again and again? And if there's only a way, a secret to help us overcome it, what secret would that be? Well, today we're going to share with you a simple principle that will help you turn every single problem around to your greatest asset, to your greatest triumph, to your greatest strength. Now, too often when people see problems, when they see challenges, when they see situations, they run from it, they cower from it, or they get frightened by it. Now, one of the secrets about problems is this: problems are there for a reason. So too often many people say, I wish my life had no problems. I wish my life had absolutely no trials, no challenges, nothing at all, no pains. But you know what? Life is like this. We are living in a world where there will be challenges, there will be problems, there will be situations that we don't seem to like it, there will be situations where we hate it, there will be situations that we just cannot get over it. Now, what do we do in such situations? Well, the truth is this: if we try to go against it, if we try to fight it, if we try to try to run away from it, guess what? It will just come after us again and again in a greater measure. So one of the challenges that we need to learn is this. This is something that schools don't teach us, neither do books teach us. This challenge is, how do we face our problems? How do we turn every single problem that we face to a right side up? Now, can we do that? Is it even possible? Now think about this. When we are faced with a challenge, how do we see the challenge? Now, oftentimes when we see the challenge as a singular pathway. We see it as a pathway towards either success or destruction, or a pathway towards never-ending journey. You know, a pathway that stretches from yards and yards and yards and yards further out and into the horizon. But one thing is for certain: what we want in the whole process of unraveling this problem is that we want to find a way out of the problem. Now, the big question is this: if you're trying to find a way out, how do you get into the problem in the first place? Because that lies the secret. Because for every single problem that arises, there is that little secret path out of the problem as well. Now, if we can find how we got in, we can find how to get out. So the truth is this: every single problem that comes to us, it can be a source for greatness, it can be a source for good, it can be a source for a potential for change. Now, how you take up the challenge will be critical in the entire process. Now, are you ready for this? Because I want to share with you a little secret about how you can actually experience a greater level, a greater measure of how you can experience your problems in totality. So from today onwards, you're not going to see your problems as something that you run away from it. When in fact, today when you see new problems arise, you're going to embrace it. Now, too many people, when they face problems, they feel that, hey, you know, I need to really get out of it because this problem is just causing me more pain, more stress, more everything. But really, one man's problem, it's another man's win. What seems a problem for you might be a great win for another person. Think about this. How many sports athletes that are out there, when they were racing, many of us, you know, we want to be great swimmers as well. So think about this, right? When we were learning to swim, we thought, okay, well, I don't think I want to race in the competition level, because guess what? There's a lot of hard work involved. I got to wake up early, I got to exercise, I got to diet, I got to practice my strokes, I got to be in the pool all day long, and it's going to affect my life. And now, when we think about this, what happens to the problem? The problem expands, and the problem becomes more overwhelming for us. But another athlete, when they see the pool, they say, hey, you know what? If others wake up at 5 a.m., I'm going to wake up at 4 a.m. I'm going to work doubly hard because I don't have the natural talent, but I'm just going to work doubly hard to achieve my goals. So when you think about this, then we begin to realize that, hey, you know, it doesn't really matter who's the problem, because the problem is never there. We created the problem as it is. We see things. The truth about problems is this: the situation that we're faced with, we can define it as a problem, or we can define that as our greatest tool, our greatest asset to help us propel ourselves forward. Because if we see that it's a problem, my first question to you is this: how is that a problem for you? So think about this: the same situation that two persons face, one sees resources, one sees resourceless. For the same situation that someone else has faced, they see one sees as strength, another sees as weakness. How are you leading today? It's going to be a big question for you. How are you leading yourself? How are you leading the world? How are you leading your teams? How are you leading your business? How are you leading your organization? That is going to be key assets, right? The truth is that what we want to do is every single part, every single pathway, the key secret is about helping us to figure a way to define what the real problem is. Because perhaps as we get clarity around the situation, we realize that there wasn't a problem in the first place. In fact, the problem was constructed in our minds. Now, the thing about problems is this: it has its roots into our natural heuristics of life. So all of us have different ways we filter our world, we define our world, whether it's through principles, whether it's through values, whether it's through beliefs or religion, whichever it is, right? We all have a certain base by which we measure the situation against. So if we measure the situation against something that it's against our values, beliefs, or principles, guess what happens? That becomes a problem. Okay. Now, whereas for some other people, if they measure it against something else, that might not be a problem. That might be food, nourishment for them. So I remember this story once, the story of Caleb and Joshua. So Caleb and Joshua were sent by Moses to spy out the land. Together with them, there were 12 other spies that went to the land. And one interesting aspect was this. Okay. 12 spies were sent to the land to spy out the land, whether the land was good enough for the people to go over. But 10 spies who saw the land, they saw giants, they saw the challenges, they saw the difficulties. Whereas Joshua and Caleb, they came back with a different report. The rest had the same report of the giants, of the insurmountable challenge, of the problems at hand. How can it be God's promise because it's such a great problem? But whereas Joshua and Caleb, they had a different spirit. They had a different report. They didn't see the giants that the man saw. Yes, they acknowledged that there was giants, but their focus was not on the giants. Their focus was on the promised land. Their focus was on, hey, this land is great, it's big, the houses are huge, the vineyards were great because guess what? You had giants to build them. Now, we see the same situations seen from two different lenses and defining from two different points of view. Now, so eventually, when Joshua and the rest went into the land, it was 40 years later when Caleb came to Moses. At this time, Caleb was 80 years old. Okay, so 80 years old. 40 years old was when Caleb went into the land. 80 years old now, Caleb came to Moses and said, Moses told Caleb, what can I do for you? Caleb told Moses, give me that land. But Moses says, hey, but that land has a lot of giants still. Right, give me another land. Well, Caleb says, I am as strong as I was the day you sent me. So Caleb's strength never failed him because he didn't compare his strength with the giants. He compared himself with God. So he said that, hey, I'm comparing God with the giants, not me, because you know what? God is for me. So in the same way, Caleb had a reference point. His belief was his reference point. His belief was his point of measure, how he defined the world as it is. So my question to you, as you're defining your problems, what is your yardstick for measure? How do you go about measuring your definition of the problem? Do you measure it based on a certain prescribed history, memory, certain book you read, certain notions of ideas or thoughts that you had? How do you define it? What is true for you? Because that is going to be really critical in this whole process of thinking about change. Okay, so the what and how of defining the problems upside down. So I'm going to share with you some principles, and then we're going to dive into some keys to help you to unravel these problems. Are you ready for this? So number one, every problem is a doorway to the truth. Every single problem is a doorway to truth. Every single problem also holds its own secrets to its solution. And for every door of problem holds the blueprint of its resolution. For every door of problem holds its blueprint for its resolution. So when we see the door, when we see the problem, we know this, that was a situation. Don't see the problem first. How? Because what we want to see first that is when we face a problem in our world, that it seems like a problem, it has its own clues for us to navigate out. It might be the same door that we came in to get out. It might be a different door that we might craft. But I want you to know this, that every single problem that comes to you and that arises has its own keys for you to unravel, has its own keys for you to open up and expand. That is the truth and secret about the doors. Okay? Now I'm going to give you some helping tools to think about how to resolve these doors. Number one, it's define the what. Define the what. Define the what of the problem. Because when we face the problem, we want to first get clear. What exactly is the problem? Is it the feelings that I'm getting? Is it the real situation itself? Is it the relationships? Is it the communication? Is it something else? What is the real problem? Take a moment to pen down what on earth that problem really is, because perhaps the problem was just an overwhelming sense of feelings, and we exaggerate the problem as bigger than it actually should be. Okay, so define the what. The second thing, it's about how is that a problem? How is that a problem? How is that situation a problem? How is that problem a problem? Because the truth is this, the real problem is never the problem. What is underlying that problem? We want to find out that how. How is that a problem for us today? Because it's not a problem to another person. So you can try this out. How is that a problem for you? And how is that not a problem for others? Because if you can see with greater lens and scope, now you can see possibilities that otherwise might have limited your thoughts, limited your ways and perspective of seeing. So many people, when they take the high ground, they say, hey, I can see things clearer than the rest. But they don't realize that actually they are not as clear, because they thought they were clear. But clarity also comes at a cost, because the clearer you are, you might miss out some other things that might not be clear to you, or might be overly clear to you, and you might miss out things. Okay, so in the same process, when the light shines really bright and you have absolute clarity, the light also hides itself in the light. So therefore, one of the challenges about defining the how is that a problem is to think about, how is this a problem right now? Was this a problem for you 1 month ago? Was this a problem for you 1 year ago? How is it a problem right now? Next is to think about, why is it urgent for me to resolve it? Why is it urgent for me to resolve it right now? What is the compunction? Why do I want to do it right now? How does it help me to resolve it right now? Do I need to resolve it right now? Because some problems, it's okay to linger that on. For example, sometimes some of us have problems of negativity, a limiting belief, confusion, procrastination. You know what? If we say that we need time to overcome procrastination before working on something else, then that in itself is procrastinating you from moving forward. My challenge to you is that sometimes, you don't have to resolve the thing for you to move forward. Many times people want to resolve something before they can move forward. My challenge to all of us is this: don't wait for the thing before you resolve. Move and resolve along the way. Number 4, who am I doing it for? Who am I doing this for? Who am I resolving this problem for? Am I doing it for myself? Am I doing it for others? Am I doing it for my peers, my friends, my team? Who am I doing it for? Be real and be honest with yourself. What are you doing it for? Who are you doing it for? Because if you can define who you're doing it for, you can find the drive and the motivation to propel you forward. Because sometimes in the process of unraveling the problems is so great that we don't want to face it up front until we can find a strong enough, compelling who. So my challenge to all of us is this: when we can find a strong enough, compelling who, we can then define that for ourselves to move forward, to push us forward. Number 5, it's for us to do this. How will I use this problem to help me get to this solution? How will I use this problem to help me get to the solution? So one of the challenge in the whole process of problem resolving is to say, hey, how can I use this problem to help me? Since the problem is biting me, how can I use that bite against itself? How can I use the same problem to turn itself over itself to move forward? So think about this. I had one time a client came to me and said, hey, I need to overcome my fear of public speaking, and I need to go out there to the stage to talk to people, talk on the camera. How do I do that? How do I not feel fear? How do I be okay with myself? How can I encourage myself in the process? How do I not be afraid of anything? How do I speak and not be afraid? Well, I tell them this. I said, hey, turn that around to fear. How do you make fear fearful of you? How do you make the frightfulness of getting on stage fear you from staying on the stage? Now, I want you to visualize that picture and get on stage right now and conquer that fear. Because you see, it's really about how you turn that around. How you give meaning will be how you lead your life. How you give meaning to the problem will give it its edge, its weapon, its sword. So the thing is this: it's like a lion. A lion may roar, but it's just a roar. A roar doesn't kill you, because a lion may be toothless. If you give it weight, it becomes strength. If you give it weight, it has fangs. But if you rob it from its weight, it no longer has fangs. It may still roar, no doubt. There might be still the fear, no doubt. But the fangs of fear no longer grips you. The fangs of fear no longer holds you down. And that's the secret, and that's the truth about the problems. The problems that may yell, may shout, may scream at you, but you know what? They're toothless until you give it strength for it to regain its fangs. Otherwise, the problems never had a chance against you. What you want to know today is this: when you face problems, how do you rob the problems of its strength? By not giving weight to it, by turning its own challenge on you against itself. And that is one of its secrets. Share me your thoughts in the comment section below. What are your greatest problems you face? And how would you take this message today and turn it around for your good? I would love to hear from you and all your friends there. So if you like this video, give us a thumbs up and don't hit the subscribe button and notification bell to stay tuned with all the latest updates that we have for you. Now here at Coaching Changes Lives, we truly believe in one thing, that conversations matter. Right? Coaching is conversational mastery, and every single time we want to help encourage people all around the world. And this little micro videos that we do for you is to encourage your heart. So if you love what you hear, you love what you share, I want to encourage you to share this with friends, share this with people around the world, and let them hear the message of truth, a message of hope, to encourage them, to give them peace, give them a peaceable heart, to help them see the world a bit different. So there you have. My name is Jedi here at Coaching Changes Lives. Do stay connected with us on all our social media platforms and check out the description box below to stay tuned with all the latest updates that we have for you. Until next time, this is Jedi at Coaching Changes Lives.